Hello, welcome. We're beginning the Ace Attorney Investigations Collection at long last. This is, up to this point, the last released product in the Ace Attorney franchise, and we've hit it. We are now at the final stretch, basically, of this long journey I've been on for about 3 years now, streaming the series, which is crazy. But this is a compilation of Ace Attorney Investigations 1 and 2, which was never released in the United States. There was a fan translation, which I definitely played. And so this is the first time that game got released in English officially. And in these games, we are not playing as Phoenix Wright. No, we are playing as Miles Edgeworth. That's right. Our favorite prosecutor is the main character through this whole series. So let's get started, shall we? Ace Attorney Investigations. Turnabout Visitor, Episode 1. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Another thing that you should keep in mind is that this takes place, I believe, 1 month after the end of Bridge to the Turnabout. So 1 month after the Phoenix Wright's trilogy ends, this story starts. So we're going back in time about 9 years from where we just were. Here we go. Let's start. March 14th, 1:16 a.m. Unknown. To make sure the defendant is found guilty, what other choice do I have? That's the job of a prosecutor, after all. That may be true, but why? That's a familiar-looking office. Why go this far? Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear enough, but a guilty verdict is all that matters to me. No matter what the cost. Ooh. Oh yeah, in true Ace Attorney style, we're getting to see our first culprit. I'm a prodigy among prosecutors. Always have been, always will be. Oh-ho. March 14th, 2:05 a.m. Prosecutor's Building, the 12th floor hallway. So we've actually been here in the series, presumably, because Phoenix has visited Edgeworth in his office a couple times. So, yeah, let's see. Hey, look who it is. Oh yeah, there is actual sprites that move around in this game. That's another thing that's going to be probably a bit of a mind freak for those who have played the previous games only. It's hard to believe that I've been away from my office for a whole month. I hope Detective Gumshoe has been keeping an eye on my office, and keeping it clean. The door is unlocked. Detective Gumshoe? What's this smell? It's very familiar. Blood? The dead body isn't gonna be good for Gumshoe, shall it? Yeah. What the? What's the meaning of this? Freeze. Hello. To JV gamers. Identify yourself. Shut up. You've got some nerve committing murder in a prosecutor's office. He shot Edgeworth's coat. Is that a threat? Let me make one thing very clear. What? No one gets away with committing murder in my office. No one. Edgeworth is just Sigma energy got the guy to leave. My name is Miles Edgeworth, and I work as a prosecutor in my local district. Little did I know that upon my return home after a month abroad, I would be thrusted into a multitude of cases and some very frantic and busy days. March 14th, 2:56 a.m. High Prosecutor's Offices, Room 1202. I've finished photographing the victim's body, sir. Very well. Please continue your investigation. Yes, sir. Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Are you okay, sir? It's him. Our prince has returned. Keep it down, detective. This is a crime scene. When I heard that a murder had taken place in your office, I ran up here straight away. This is Dick Gumshoe. He's a detective with the local precinct, and the one they assigned to handle this murder case for the time being. You're looking a little pale, sir. Oh, are you hurt? No, I'm perfectly fine. However... look what they did to your office! It's totally trashed! I'll say, the culprit sullied my floor with dirt rather well. No one gets away with tracking mud into my office. Whoa, sounds like you're getting really burned up over this whole thing. This crime was committed in my office, so it is my responsibility to solve it. Ho ho ho, that's just like you, Mr. Edgeworth. Okay, time to do some investigating. Agreed. Our first course of action is to gather relevant facts and leads. We must not overlook anything, no matter how small, if we're to find the truth. So, I'll keep any leads or information we find etched in the forefront of my mind. Speaking of things that pique my curiosity, why of all places did the murder occur in my office? Oh, he just had a thought. Look at that. I get the nagging feeling that this is something important to keep in mind. Yeah, I was wondering that myself, sir. I mean, you can't really say it's just a coincidence, can you? No, not really. Especially because of this. The key to your office? For security reasons, this office's door has a lock built into it. What do you mean, sir? If you think about it carefully and use logic, it should become clear to you. That's right, Edgeworth's special power is logic. It's just logic. Logic? By finding the connection between two pieces of information and connecting them, new information is born. That is the end result of using logic. So how do you use it? First, I recall the information we've gathered with Q, and then I connect them together with T. Now, to use Q and recall the facts. Alright. He does not need any sort of magically charmed amulet or bracelet. He is just that good. No robot necklaces needed either. Yep. Alright, crime scene, my office. Is it really coincidence that the murder took place in my office? So, crime scene... We're going to connect the fact that the crime took place in his office with the office key. Connect. For security reasons, all prosecutors' doors are outfitted with locks, which means it would have been hard for the murderer and the victim to get in here. Ergo, it's impossible to dismiss the location of this crime as mere coincidence. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking, sir. There must be a reason why someone infiltrated my room. What was the killer after? So we just got a new logical thought. What was the killer's goal? You're really on the ball today, Mr. Edgeworth. That's some beautiful logic, sir. Yes, well, when you follow leads to their conclusion, only the truth remains. However, if the information doesn't line up properly, I may stray far from the truth as well. But if I think carefully before piecing leads together, the logic should flow. Well, let's get started with our investigation, shall we? Yes, sir! Begin investigation. High Prosecutor's Offices, Room 1202. The basis of any good investigation is to examine everything, sir. I know that. and when I want to examine something, I simply use space when I'm next to it.
Oh, if you ever feel lost and want to talk, just use T, okay? I'll give you great, precise advice as an ace investigator, sir.
Something to try later, if I have free time, I suppose. Okay, so, we got a run button, too. This is wild. We can actually move around in an Ace Attorney game. This is crazy. I like some of the environmental stuff in the back, like he has a tea set, he has the Steel Samurai, and he has the King of Prosecutors, and then he has the teacup from the Gatewater Hotel there. And then, of course, his coat from the case, with a flashback case where we played as Mia. All right, well, let's talk to Gumshoe real quick.
You called, sir?
Notice anything? Is there anything you noticed that you'd like to share, Detective Gumshoe?
Just that I rushed over here as soon as I heard there was a murder in your office, sir. The investigation's just getting started, so I guess there's not much else to say. Were you the one that found the body, Mr. Edgeworth?
Unfortunately, upon my return, I found my office door to be unlocked. And what awaited me inside was this whole messy affair.
Ouch! That's rough!
Even though I left the security of this room to a certain detective.
Sorry, sir.
About investigating. I assume you understand how to conduct investigations, Detective Gumshoe?
Of course, sir! Examine anything and everything with space. By checking various things out, we can gather all sorts of evidence and information. You can see the evidence we've collected with E. For information and leads, it's Q. That's it! Great job, sir! Deductive reasonable is the way to go.
It's called deductive reasoning, Detective. Clearly something you lack. Can I present any evidence to him? Oh, look at that! Look at that! We got my prosecutor's badge. Proof of my profession. However, I prefer to keep it in my pocket. I think we have to. I think that's like a sacred trust that we have to show Gumshoe our prosecutor's badge. Show it to him.
Your prosecutor's badge is really tiny compared to my police badge. Oh, but it's really cool, sir. Much cooler than my badge could ever be.
There's no need to suck up to me, Detective. I like how when Phoenix presents his badge, she's like, "Oh, that's such a tiny badge. You're such a tiny man." And Edgeworth is just like, "Oh no, you got the best. You have the best badge ever, sir." So, question mark, question mark, question mark. The victim in this case, why was he killed in my office? And of course, Dick Gumshoe, homicide detective at the local precinct in charge of the initial investigation, age 32. All right. So technically, also, this means that, like, in a few months, Phoenix is going to lose his law license, which kind of sucks, but oh well. We know how that turns out. Well, let's start investigating things, shall we? How about we look at the Steel Samurai? Well, it's a good thing my Steel Samurai doll was spared any harm.
Speaking of which, I still haven't actually sat down and watched any of that show. What's it about again?
Well, I don't know much about it myself, but the hero of the Steel Samurai, warrior of Neo Old Tokyo, is the Steel Samurai, and his goal is to defeat the evil magistrate. It's a show geared towards kids. However, its high production values and riveting plot draws in a number of adults as well. Spin-offs like Pink Princess, Warrior of Little Old Tokyo, and The Nickel Samurai, along with a deluge of merchandise and even a new stage show, gives its presence.
You sure know a lot, are you? Sure you're not some kind of rabid fanboy?
Well, of course not. Anyone that keeps up with society knows at least this much. And that conversation lasted longer than I expected. Let us return to the investigation. What about this? Is this yet another batch of fresh flowers?
The ones that come with a card attached every month like clockwork for you? Yup. Speaking of that, let's see what's on the card this month, sir. All will be resolved. Wendy.
Oh, Miss Irony, how painful are thy thorns.
Wendy, isn't that the name of that old lady with the whiny voice that's stalking?
That's enough, Detective. You need not remind me further. Oh, of course, so that's... Oh, man. Old Bag is sending Edgeworth flowers. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. If you pull a certain book, a hidden door will be revealed, leading to a room with Edgeworth's Funko Pop collection. Pretty much, yeah. Oh, man. Edgeworth is a Redditor.
Oh, it's your trophy, the Knight of Prosecutors, right?
King of Prosecutors. And it's not a trophy, it's a shield.
They only send this to the winning prosecutor, right?
Yes, but I have no real interest in the perceived worth of other people. As for my own worth, that is something only I can determine for myself.
That's so slick, sir. I'm gonna have to try saying that sometime.
Unfortunately for him, his monetary worth is tied directly to his worth to me. What do we got here?
Aha! Watch out for the teacup fragments there, sir.
That killer is going to pay. This tea set.
Yikes, you're really mad over this?
This tea set is very dear to my heart and can only be bought in England. It cost more than your whole month's paycheck. Edgeworth joke in there. Oh, no. Yes.
No, what? No, I feel like the killer's wasted one of my monthly paychecks.
He did. Oh, God. It's been a while since I've sat at this desk. Oh, how I've missed you. It's so tidy that it looks newer than when I first bought it.
Oh, yeah! That thing's so polished that it makes mirrors jealous!
Don't tell me you had no other work the entire time I was away, Detective.
My job is to protect your office, sir.
And you did such a good job protecting it that a murder occurred in it.
That's harsh, sir.
I have to admit, the desk has never looked better, so I guess I can't dock his pay. That's good. Can we talk to this guy? How is it coming along? Please, I need absolute silence. Fingerprint lifting is a delicate art. Well, I never. I hope we can solve this case quickly. I'd like to return to relaxing on this sofa.
That thing looks a billion times softer than my mattress at home. Can I sit on it too? Just for a little while, sir?
Detective Gumshoe, you know I can't allow that. Until this case is solved, neither of us has time to spare, let alone rest.
You're right, sir. I'm gonna work hard and be a real trooper to the end.
Even once this case is over, I don't think he can afford to take any time off. I can't look at my coat, so that's too bad. We can look at the gun. We could also talk to this police officer. Let's talk to him. Do you have anything to report? Sir, yes, sir. Nothing out of the ordinary right now, sir. And yet there's something out of the ordinary right in front of my eyes.
Talk about a contradiction.
Something out of the ordinary, huh? I should look around a bit more. You mean this gun? That's kind of a big one. What have we here? Could this perhaps be the murder weapon? If so, it would mean that the killer made their escape after disposing of their gun here.
I think I've seen one of those before.
Care to enlighten me as to where?
Oh, I know. I was issued the exact same model. I think.
Detective.
I don't really like guns all that much. I mean, they're really dangerous. But now that I think about it, you do see this model around the precinct a lot, sir. I don't use mine much, except in emergencies, so that's why I didn't recognize it.
So it's the same type of revolver as the ones used by this precinct's detectives. All right, interesting. What about this chessboard thingy?
Ouch, they even knocked over your chess set! I had it all set up, ready for when you got back. I figured we could play a few games.
I had no idea you were interested in chess.
I'm actually pretty good at checkers, so I thought I'd give chess a try.
In that case, I suppose I can set some time aside after we solve this case. Though I don't expect the games to tax my mental acuity much. What about... let's look at the pile of papers, and then we'll do the dead body.
Your files are all over the floor, sir.
They probably fell during the struggle between the victim and his killer. Signs of a struggle. Cool.
Oh, and I tried so hard to keep this place spotless while you were away. I mean, this just rendered all the time and effort I put in pointless.
I don't recall ever asking you to clean my room.
Well, I watered the flowers every day, just like you requested, sir. I just added cleaning to the list as a weekend special. For about half a day, every Saturday, I'd come in and clean this place until it sparkled.
Does he have a life? No. I think we've established that for how long we've known him. Well, I guess there's not much to do but look at the body. They finished photographing the body, so it should be alright to examine this area. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Get used to that sentence a lot, by the way. He says that, like, whenever he examines something. Let's look at the wallet. What do we have here?
Hey, I think I've seen one of these before.
It's a police badge, detective.
Oh, hey, I have the exact same thing, actually. What a coincidence.
Let's take a look inside. Mr. Buddy Faith. Buddy Faith. That's a great name. Detective. It would appear that our victim was a detective, just like you. All right, victim was a detective. I seem to have gathered a few pieces of information. Now to calmly use some logic and figure out if any of them are connected to each other. I want to look at his bloody hand, too. Let's see here. There's blood all over his lower abdominal area.
It looks like the bullet passed clean through his stomach area, sir.
In other words, he was shot.
Yep, and until the autopsy's done, I don't think we'll know much more than that.
Please have the body sent to the morgue once they're done processing the crime scene. Alright, bullet went clean through the victim's abdomen. The body was found at around 2:05 a.m.
Are you gonna be okay with keeping track of the evidence we found, sir?
Of course, this is the safest way I know to keep track of it all.
Alright, if you say so.
I keep all the evidence I find either in or with my organizer. And when I want to re-examine a piece, I have but to press E to open my organizer. But the organizer isn't only for evidence. I keep people's profiles on hand in it too. It's probably a good idea to make a habit of checking the facts often. Well, his organizer, huh? Alright. This is not his court record because, as the name suggests, this is investigations rather than, court. So, we're going to be doing mystery stuff more. Let's check this out.
I don't believe it! I packed those files on these shelves so tight that not even an earthquake could make them fall off, but just look at them. At this rate, the rest of the files won't be able to withstand an earthquake at all.
A problem, to be sure. Well, once the investigation is over, we'll put them back up on the shelf. What is that? It says gum. I'm pretty sure that says gum upside down. Oh boy. Is someone going to try to frame Gumshoe for this? Let's see. I have not played this in a very long time, so I genuinely don't remember. Alright. Let's talk to Gumshoe, actually.
You called, sir?
The info I've gathered. I seem to have picked up a few good leads.
Oh, so now you're gonna do that thing you do with all that information, right?
What are you babbling about?
The brainy thing you were talking about just a few minutes ago, sir. The logic. You said that you could look at all of your leads and info by pressing Q. Then you pick the ones that seem related with space and then connect them with T. That's your way of investigating, right, sir?
Yes, which is why this exercise in explaining my own method to me was unnecessary.
Okay, then how about I explain my logic to you next?
That is even more unnecessary. You have anything to say about the crime scene notes? Present.
I'm just a lowly detective, so I'm not sure what I should do with that other than to arrest it.
Is that the only talent you have? Oh, wait. Actually, it would have to be the wrong person he arrests, as we know. Alright, so we can't present profiles. So let's do some logicking then, shall we? The killer's goal. The victim was a detective. Revolver. Hang on a second. The model was the same model of revolver used to probably kill the guy, Buddy, is one used by detectives, and the victim was a detective. So those two seem like potential things to connect. So let's see. The victim was a detective, and the revolver was from the police. It fits. The revolver, the standard model used by detectives, could it have belonged to our recently departed? Detective Gumshoe, could you please thoroughly check the victim's body one more time?
Yes, sir. On it now, sir. Excuse me, pal. Let's see. What have we got here? Mr. Edgeworth, sir. This guy's wearing a gun holster.
So it appears that our killer somehow managed to take the victim's gun from him. Victim's revolver data jotted down in my organizer. Cool. Let's see what else we can find out about this revolver.
As I always say, you've got to look really carefully at each piece of evidence. You can use the arrow keys to rotate an object. There's no such thing as a bad angle. Use Q and E to zoom in and get out the nitty-gritty.
Okay, so we have the evidence examining system from Apollo Justice and Great Ace Attorney and so on in this one. So we can look at it. I like the very obvious Colt. It looks like a donkey more than a... But yeah, what do we got? It looks like only one round was fired from this.
Wow, so the killer killed the Vic with just one shot after wrestling the gun from him? Sounds like the guy knew how to handle a gun, huh, Mr. Edgeworth?
But remember, the killer fired a warning shot at Edgeworth, too. So we know that. So why is only one shot fired? We have no proof for now, but that is a distinct possibility. I guess this is about all we're going to find out. We should send the body to,
Jim!
Hey!
Why? Oh, why? How could this have happened to a guy like you?
Are you all right?
Don't touch me. Leave me alone. Just let me be.
Sorry, but I can't do that. The investigation is still ongoing, so please refrain from touching the body.
The body? The body? Don't talk about him like that. He's some lump of flesh.
Look at him. Jim looks like he's just turned in for the night.
Sure, just in a blood-stained suit, pal.
Where are my manners? Aren't you that prosecutor?
Why, yes, I am. I'm Jack Portsman.
Jacques Portsman? Jack Sportsman? Sportsball?
Prosecutor. Jim here was my partner in crime busting.
I'm Miles Edgeworth, and like you, I am also a prosecutor.
Detective Dick Gumshoe, sir.
So you're Miles Edgeworth. I guess this is your office. Yes, that is correct.
Then it was you. You're the one who killed Jim. Hey, don't go around jumping to conclusions, pal. Just calm down, okay?
I will not.
I know how things work around here. My prosecutor's office doors all have locks built into them. And only the owner of the office has the key to his or her own office door.
That is correct. However, I was not the one who killed your partner.
Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth has been overseas on a business trip this whole time, pal. And the key to the door was with me the entire time, okay? So the only one who could get in here was me. Ho, 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 ho. Wait, that means... I'm not sure what that means. So it was you then. You're Jim's killer. Hey, no way, pal. You got it all wrong.
Everyone calm down. Mr. Portsman, correct? If you are a real prosecutor, then you should know to stay collected. The investigation has only just begun. Isn't it too early to be drawing conclusions?
All right, I get the point. You're right, my mistake. I tend to get a little too hot-headed sometimes. You sure are one cool customer, though, Mr. Edgeworth. I've heard all the rumors about you. You're the great genius prosecutor. You're something of a legend, you know? Anyway, let's call a truce and work together, okay? Now, how about a handshake to seal the deal?
A pleasure to work with you. He doesn't even shake his hand. Stone cold.
You guys were conducting your investigation, right? Sorry for barging in like that. Carry on then. It's your room after all.
Thank you. I intend to.
I just want a little more time to say goodbye to Jim. You there. Sir?
What?
I want you to capture this scene on film for me. My final farewell to my partner, Jim.
That's weird. That's very weird. I should probably give them some space. Is there any more logic that we can put together while he's doing that? Oh, actually, now that he's moved, we can check this out.
Oh, your jacket, sir! What's it doing on the floor?
It must have fallen off the wall when the killer tried to threaten me by firing a round.
So the killer not only shot the victim, but they shot your jacket as well? They dared to shoot the ultra special jacket that you made your prosecutorial debut in? What if they had shot through it? It would have been a disaster.
It's not worth getting worked up over, Detective. Not when there's something more here.
Like what?
I take it you haven't noticed it yet, Detective. There is a giant contradiction right here in front of us.
Really?
Did I say contradiction? He must be rubbing off on me. I'm starting to sound like him. Oh, who could that be? Who could that be? But I have my own methods, and I will conduct this investigation my way. When the scene before me contradicts a piece of evidence or seems off, that's when my deductive skills come into play. First, I have to find the spot that holds the contradiction. Well, it's the gunshot. This is it. This bullet hole is where the contradiction lies. When I spot something that's off, I should point my cursor at it and press T with conviction. And when I have found sufficient proof to prove the contradiction, I present it. This is how I do things. It's the gun. There's only one shot fired. Present. Eureka! This bullet hole is the contradiction.
What do you mean, sir?
It's elementary. 2 shots were fired in this room. The first felled the victim, and the second felled this frame.
Hey, that's right!
However, this gun was only fired once.
Hey, that's true, too!
Which means that one of these 2 bullets was fired from a different gun. Did the killer have another gun prepared for tonight? Another handgun. Okay, that's a possibility.
By the way, I noticed something, sir.
Yes?
What's that thing sticking out from behind the frame?
Ah, that. It's a secret safe.
A secret safe? Oh, I smell money.
I'll spare us the trouble and just say it. Nothing like what you're imagining is inside. Now, if you could kindly move this frame out of the way. Oh, it's his Funko Pop collection. You called it.
Roger that. Talk about dusty.
I suppose that's what happens when I'm not here to dust it once in a while.
I had no idea there was a safe here. All right, I've kept it clean for you, sir. So, when did you put this thing in?
It wasn't something I had installed personally. Every prosecutor's office has one.
Really? I had no idea.
I won't judge him. He's still cool. Yeah, I agree. Well, only prosecutors are supposed to have knowledge of their existence.
So, what's inside, Mr. Edgeworth?
Right now, nothing. We only use them to store especially important evidence when a trial is in session.
That's it? Talk about squashing my hopes and dreams.
Secret safe data jotted down in my organizer. Okay. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. We're gonna hear that a lot. Well, look. There's dust that's been cleared off, and someone obviously tried to break in. Now this is odd.
You found something, sir?
This keypad, don't you find it to be a bit too clean?
Yeah, there's a thick layer of dust all around it, but not on the keypad itself.
You there, the forensic scientist?
Yes, sir.
Could you please dust this area for fingerprints?
You got it, sir.
I couldn't find, let alone lift, a single print. Looks like it was wiped down well. All the fingerprints on this have been wiped clean off. Ooh. Alright, secret safe data updated in my organizer. Cool. As I thought, it appears that logic is the only way around this setback. Time to rationally and calmly connect the dots with the information we have. Alright, let's do it. I love how it like goes into a mind palace when you do that. The killer's goal, signs of a struggle, wiped fingerprints. Why did this happen in my office? What was the killer after? And why? I think the goal and the fingerprints connect. It makes sense because that kind of indicates the killer was going after his safe. The sign of a struggle and the another handgun, I think, has some legs to it as well. Because signs of a struggle, right? There was a struggle between the victim and the killer, and possibly there was another handgun. So what if, in the struggle, the killer was able to get Buddy's gun and shoot him with it, but the killer did have another gun on him? Let's see. First, let's do the one that's stronger, the killer's goal and wiped fingerprints. Let's see. Got it. I believe I have figured out what the murderer was after.
Well, what is it, sir?
The fact that the safe was wiped clean of fingerprints suggests that the criminal had at least attempted to open my safe, making the culprit's motive for breaking and entering theft, I believe. Motive theft. I wonder if knowing that the motive behind this break-in was theft changes what the other pieces of information can tell me about this crime. It might. Let's do signs of a struggle and another handgun. I want to see if this fits together. Oh, they don't fit together. I can't see a clear connection between these two pieces of information. Alright, so motive theft. The culprit tried to open my safe. And signs of a struggle or another handgun. Let's see. Other than the victim's gun that I found, could there be another gun in play here? I don't know. Would it be signs of a struggle or theft? Daquave J. Davontavius. Yes. Good. Well, hello. Hello there. Motive theft. Maybe signs of a struggle? We'll see. We'll see, okay? Let's see. Let's see if this connects. It does. Okay. There is a possibility that the files splayed on the floor are not the result of a struggle between the victim and his killer.
Oh, you mean like it could be from when the killer tried to find something, sir?
Precisely. We need to figure out if any of the files have been stolen.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna shelve files like you've never seen before, even at a library.
Sure. Let's give that a try.
Why do all the good ones die young? Surely you must ponder that every once in a while, Mr. Edgeworth.
No matter how much we lament, the dead will not come back to life. All we can do is search for the truth.
And so what are we supposed to do? How do we go about finding the truth?
First, we calmly restore the files to their rightful place.
You got it. Here, let me help. So this file goes here, and that book goes there. You sure know a lot about where things go, despite it being Mr. Edgeworth's office. Because I'm the one who keeps it tidy, pal. Okay, done.
Oh. It would appear that the murder was definitely committed here.
Oh, the bloodstains on the bookshelf are still fresh.
I suspect that the victim was killed in a standing position, hence the prints on the shelf.
And then the guy fell on the floor, right? The blood on the floor is kind of grossing me out.
Detective, I don't have the time to deal with your weak stomach right now.
But you know I'm no good with blood, sir.
I'm certain there's something wrong with this picture. How is he not good with blood? The bullet hole. There's a bullet hole right there. What's that about? Can I... hang on, zero in. Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? Once again, it's the revolver was only fired once. This is clearly where the contradiction lies.
I don't really see what's so wrong with that spot.
Ha! You don't understand. You see, therein lies the contradiction.
Mr. Edgeworth, sir, it'd be nice if you'd just admit when you're wrong.
That wasn't a mistake. That was me keeping you on your toes, detective. That's a very in-character response to Edgeworth getting something wrong. I love it. All right. The spot. The safe? The crime scene. Wait, he was shot in the abdomen, so why is there a bullet hole at the bottom? Maybe that's it. There is clearly a contradiction here with this bullet hole.
What do you mean, sir?
You don't see? Quite simply, the bullet hole itself is too low. If the victim was shot in the stomach, the hole should be much higher up.
But what if the guy was shot while he was sitting or lying down, sir?
That would be illogical. The victim leaned against this shelf here after being shot, which suggests that he was standing when he was shot.
Then that means... wait... What does that mean, sir?
It means you need to use your brain every once in a while instead of mine, detective. In any case, it means someone made a faulty assumption, and it was from this mistake that our current contradiction was born. What is the faulty assumption that caused this problem with the bullet hole's position? The position of the body, the position of the handprints, the ordering of the files. It has to be the files, right? Because the body, his position is fine. The handprints are probably fine. But if the files can easily be... They could have been in the wrong order, right? Let's see. I believe the order of the files is a bit off.
You mean I put them back in the wrong order just now? Hey, actually, I think the labels on the files are wrong, sir.
Oh?
Yeah, you see here how the files that were shot begin with the number 0? What are those doing all the way down there after 1, 2, and 3? That's really weird.
Actually, the way they're organized now is the correct order. They're exactly as I see them in my mind's eye.
But the numbers are all out of order.
Those white binders are special, so they were arranged a little differently. But from this, we know that the files were not in this order when the crime occurred. Aha, so that's it. I believe the killer made the same incorrect assumption you just did, detective. Let's rearrange the files in numerical order and see what we find out.
Do you think it'd be okay to prop the body back up to how it was before it was moved?
They finished processing the crime scene, so I don't see why it wouldn't be. If you please, Detective Gumshoe. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it should logically be. The killer went through my files first before shooting Mr. Faith.
And then put the files back in numerical order, I guess.
Exactly, and then proceeded to shoot the victim.
But why would someone kill a man and then look through your files one more time?
Puzzling indeed. The files were thrown into disarray twice, once before and once after the crime. But why? So the culprit rearranged my files twice, once before and once after the murder. That's interesting. Now the crime scene is as it was at the time of the murder. Time to give it another look. Alright, let's look at the hole. As I suspected, the bullet hole is now where it should logically be.
And we figured that out, that the killer went through your bookshelf twice.
Indeed, there are many things the killer did that don't make sense. But to figure out the whys, we need more information. What about the handprints?
These handprints belong to the victim, right? They make sense with the body position.
Yes, he must have left them when he was trying to support himself after he was shot. However, the final position of the body shows that it was moved. I need to go over this crime scene with a fine-tooth comb one more time. Alright. I noticed over here that says Gumshoe, I think, or something.
This... What is that? Why does it say Gumshoe on there in blood?
I'd say that's some incredibly incriminating evidence. Yes, indicative of criminal activity, indeed.
No, wait, there's gotta be some mistake. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, help me. Say something, sir.
It appears that one of my files was stolen.
Is that all, sir? What about me and my situation?
Is this what the killer was really after? One of the files that were written upon in blood was stolen by the culprit. Okay. Investigation complete. Hey, we got our points back.
Looks like Jim was able to leave us the name of his killer in the end. And this most important message managed to reach us. I'm telling you, it wasn't me!
You can't be terribly pleased to hear that your beloved partner is the guilty party. If you're going to accuse Detective Gumshoe of being the culprit, I sincerely hope you have some proof to back it up.
Jim's words. They're more than enough, wouldn't you say?
If that's how you want to play it, then at least allow me to understand your reasoning.
You got it.
I don't like this one bit. There's something strange about this man's attitude. And there must be some sort of flaw to his logic waiting for me to dig out.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you going to do?
What I always do in court, I'm going to cross-examine him. One way or another, I'll expose the flaw in his logic with this technique.
Oh, how do you do that? Can you explain it to me, sir?
Might as well. Okay, let's go over this system. Alright, first I listen to the witness's testimony, and if I find a flaw in the testimony, something that contradicts the evidence, I open my organizer with E and present the piece of contradictory evidence. Okay, so this is going to work very similar to how testimonies work in the main series. Almost exactly the same. To present something, I simply use T, but that's old news.
But it's not like there's going to be a flaw in their testimony every time, right?
Correct, and at those times I need to press the witness with Q. Sometimes by pressing, I can draw out new information and new or modified testimony.
I think I get it, sir. I'll be sure to try this technique out during investigations, too.
Very well. I'll even show you how it's done. Now, watch carefully. Mr. Portsman's logic.
Detective Gumshoe, you stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead.
Wait, there's an investigations too? Yeah. Yeah.
Furthermore, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed that theft instead. That's when you moved Jim's body that was sitting in front of the bookshelf. Thanks to that, you didn't notice the bloody letters his body was hiding. And it will be by his final words that you will be brought to justice.
Investigations 2. Gumshoe actually does something. You intend to argue that the victim's dying message points to his killer?
I can hear Jim's voice, and he's calling for his killer's arrest.
Are you sure you're not mishearing his words, Mr. Portsman? There's no way Detective Gumshoe is the culprit here. I will find the flaw in this man's logic and expose it with credible evidence. It's a little heartwarming that that Edgeworth is going to bat for Gumshoe there. I'd be up for a punished Gumshoe arc. Heck yeah, man. Yeah. That would be amazing. Punished Gumshoe. A man denied his cup noodles. Alright. You know, there's something I've been meaning to ask.
What is it?
Why do you call the victim Jim, when clearly his name is Buddy Faith?
Isn't it obvious? Jim is the perfect name for my companion. Jack and Jim. Don't see those two names go together like peanut butter and jelly? But Jim isn't even close to the guy's real name. Well, Jack and Buddy just sounds off somehow. Besides, he was the third of a bunch of guys I decided to nickname Jim.
He talks about the victim like he was his pet. Further, you messed up the files to make it look like you had committed theft instead. Do you really think it was necessary to dishevel my shelves twice to do that?
That's true. Okay, then maybe his real intent was theft. Hey, are you accusing me of stealing something from Mr. Edgeworth? It's a possibility. Maybe your salary's been cut so much that life's getting too rough to handle. I'll have you know that I eat 3 square meals every day, pal. Okay, so all 3 of them happen to be instant noodles, but... Poor thing. What an evil prosecutor you were paired with. And what a motive, no?
That's when you move Jim's body. Okay. And why would Detective Gumshoe do such a thing?
Because the body was getting in his way. He had to mess up your bookshelf somehow, right?
Anyway. but thanks to you that you didn't notice the bloody letters the body was hiding. Why do you think that the killer didn't notice the bloody letters?
The body was covering it quite well, wouldn't you say? That's how he missed it.
But judging by what I've seen, it doesn't take much for your detective to miss something.
Who do you think you are? You know nothing about me, pal.
And there's a lot of person you'd understand about another from first impressions alone. I can't say I disagree with him on that point.
Why don't you say something, sir?
Not you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Despite his lack of attention to detail, I don't believe the detective to be the culprit. Nobody could have overlooked the bloody letters, and I can prove it with evidence.
I couldn't ask for a better setup
For the game finishing spike. Okay, he's sports analogies, I get it. And it will be by his final words that you will be brought to justice. Apollo justice. Are you saying that those letters were intended for you?
Yup, Jim was an outstanding detective. I would expect no less from my former partner.
It looks like Mr. Portsman still doesn't understand. He has yet to figure out the true meaning behind the bloody letters.
What are you sputtering over there? Can't you just admit my logic is perfectly sound?
Actually, there's a gigantic flaw in his logic. A gap so wide that even the good detective can spot it. Now to clue Mr. Portsman in by presenting him with some evidence. Alright, so you messed up the files to make it look like you'd committed theft. Is it the fact that it says gumshoe? And also that they're upside down, right? That's pretty obvious. Gum... something or other. But, hang on. Let's see. That's when you moved Jim's body. That was thanks to that you didn't notice the bloody letters the body was hiding. Alright. Let's see. Present... one of the files that were written upon in blood. Well, if he stole it, he would have seen it. That's the contradiction. And it would be... hang on. Yeah. If he stole it, he would have seen it. You stole Jim's gun from him and shot him dead. Okay. Right. Further, you messed up the files to make it look like you'd committed theft instead. Alright. I think this is it. This is the contradiction. Let's see. Because if he messed up the files, he would have seen that. No? Mr. Portsman, there is a large flaw in your logic.
Really? I think it holds up rather well, actually. What do you think is wrong with it?
Nothing. Let's move on.
This isn't like you at all, sir. Concentrate.
That was careless of me. I can't afford to do that, or the truth will slowly slip away. Remain calm, Miles. It's the only way. Furthermore, hang on. You were sitting in front of the bookshelf, but thanks to you, you noticed the bloody letters, and it will be by his final words. Well, okay, I'm like confused then. Okay, what? Let's look at the court record again and see what we got here. Was it just a different thing I had to present? You didn't notice the bloody letters. You didn't notice the bloody letters. Thanks to that. Is it this statement? Let's see. Okay. Perhaps you're not aware, Mr. Portsman, but there is a serious flaw in your logic.
Bringing a bit of the courtroom into this, I see. No problem. I'm game.
I can't help but find it odd. Excuse me? Odd that a fellow prosecutor would be brought down by the power of his own office.
What are you talking about? Oh, you're joking. I get it.
If you have the time to laugh, then you have the time to take another, closer look at this. Do you still not see? If not, may I direct your attention to the missing file?
What? That's impossible.
What's impossible, Mr. Portsman?
Nothing.
The files on that shelf are all about a certain case. When the killer went to take the file after murdering your partner, I highly doubt they would have missed the bloody letters written on the spines.
It's possible that they could have taken the file before committing the murder.
I think it's pretty obvious that the file was stolen after it was written on. The missing letters and the detective's name, where the file should be, is proof.
Yeah, I mean, the S is gone, and there's only half an H.
If Detective Gumshoe really was the culprit of this case, I highly doubt that even he could overlook his own name written in blood on the files. Especially as a detective who can't stand the sight of blood.
Ugh. Which means, what exactly? What does that make this dying message?
It makes the work of a criminal intent on tampering with the crime scene.
That's so low! I can't believe the criminal tried to pin this whole thing on me, sir! I'm gonna get him, sir! You'll see! I'm gonna have them under arrest in no time.
Well, Mr. Portsman?
Brilliant. Absolutely splendid. Logic deserving of Olympic gold.
I appreciate the praise, but it doesn't change the fact that your reasoning is flawed.
You win some and you lose some. That's how life goes. Glad everyone's so cheery, even though I feel more dead than alive. But you know, it really is a shame. I really didn't want to have to bring this up, however. What is it this time? Are you still after me, pal?
Humor me for a second. Who has the key to this office?
That would be me. But Mr. Edgeworth just proved that I'm innocent, pal.
Oh, he put his coat on.
That's absolutely right, and I acknowledge your innocence.
Then why do I sense that you still have something to say?
Well, I was thinking, did you know there is one other person with a key to this office?
One other person?
Hey, you there!
Yes, sir. What is it, sir?
Would you kindly fetch and escort that lovely young lady here for me?
A lady?
The girl is a member of this building's security. Think of her as a material witness. Security? Did you say security? No! Stop it, pal! Don't!
What's wrong with him all of a sudden? Oh, hey! I believe she needs no introduction. I have called upon Miss Maggie Bird, a member of security. Hey, it's Maggie Bird. Okay, that's the thing about this particular game. Not so much the sequel, but there is a lot of fan service in it. And it's, you know, just, hey, remember this character? Huh? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that.
Detective Gumshoe, sir. Maggie! Miss Bird is the security guard on watch tonight.
I see. And your point is?
My point is that she could very well have used it. And by it, I mean the master key, which can open all the office doors in this building. What? If you're not the guilty party, Detective Gumshoe, then the only other person with access to this room is Miss Bird. How dare you! I would never sneak into someone's room! That's right, I refuse to believe that Maggie's the culprit, pal! It was me! That's right, I did it! Can we take that as a confession, Detective? Well, it wasn't really me, but it definitely wasn't Maggie, pal! So yeah, it was me. If it was, you'd have no problem with that, right?
Please refrain from flying off the handle, Detective. There's no need for such theatrics.
Listen to your boss, Detective. He understands what I'm saying here. That girl is the only one who could have committed the crime, and for one simple reason.
Oh, here we go again. Remembering characters in an Ace Attorney game? What is going on here? I know! What? Wait a minute.
It's pretty obvious that Miss Bird snuck into your room, using the master key. I mean, if Detective Gumshoe isn't the one who opened the door, then that leaves only Miss Bird as our prime suspect. On top of which, she knows our good detective, doesn't she? Making it all the more probable that she was the one who faked the dying message.
So you're saying she used the master key? Okay, master key.
Incredibly incriminating evidence, wouldn't you say?
That's what you claimed about the evidence earlier as well.
That was then, this is now. The flow of a good match always changes during a rally. It's all about your reflexes and reaction time, especially for an athlete like me.
I wonder if there was anyone else other than Miss Bird who could have used the master key. It seems that the only way to get Mr. Portsman to give us more details is to press him. All right. Reason for suspicion. Rebuttal. Obvious, Miss Bird snuck into your room. Okay. Are you sure Miss Bird is the only member of security who could have used the master key?
There's only one person on staff at this time of night, and tonight, she's it. Isn't that right, Miss Bird?
That's, true, but I wasn't able to use the master key at the time of the crime, sir. Wasn't able to? What's that supposed to mean?
Yes, moving on. I'd hate to get sidetracked by something unrelated.
What do you mean, unrelated? I want to hear what she has to say, pal.
But you can't really trust her to not tell lies. Plus, I hate wasting time.
Should I hear Miss Bird out? Yeah. Not so fast. I, too, am interested in hearing what Miss Bird has to say.
Didn't I just say it'd be a waste of time? We don't need her lies.
I'll be the judge of that. Miss Bird, if you please.
I discovered that the master key was missing at around 1 a.m., sir.
What do you mean by missing?
As in, it wasn't anywhere in the security booth, sir. The killer must have stolen it.
Mr. Portsman, I believe this to be an important piece of testimony, don't you?
Oh, I can't believe that someone like you would be taken in by such words. I'm not lying, sir. If that's the case, then I'd like to know why you have the master key now. I don't quite know. It just reappeared all of a sudden, sir.
Ha! A likely story. And where is your proof that the key was stolen to begin with?
I bet you just forgot where you put it and then found it again. I never lose things. I can practically guarantee that. With me, if something disappears, it's usually because someone stole it.
Yeah, pal. Trust me, you don't want to test just how bad her luck is.
Unfortunately, I can't deem this piece of testimony as conclusive.
Glad you agree, Mr. Edgeworth.
But you still haven't established Maggie's motive for bringing in to Mr. Edgeworth's office.
Her motive? Didn't we already establish that it was theft? I mean, the culprit clearly went through the bookshelves and at least tried the safe.
It is as Mr. Portsman says, Detective. I can't ignore the fact that all the evidence points towards a motive of theft. But I'm done taking blows. It's time to counterattack with a few facts of my own. Her intent, from the messed up shelves to the wiped down safe, I'd say thievery. I concur that the culprit's motive appears to have been thievery. However,
glad to hear that the great Miles Edgeworth is in agreement with little old me.
However, with regard to the investigation of the bookshelves and safe...
Hey, good thinking. Asking for my opinion on the matter.
Would it be too much for you to allow me to complete a full sentence? How would the culprit know that there's a safe? Is that common knowledge? Yes, Lethargic, that is a very good point. He said that is actually meant to be a secret. Let's see, I mean, if Detective Gumshoe isn't the one who opened the door... Alright, let's keep pressing. I thought we had established Detective Gumshoe's innocence pretty thoroughly.
It was just a theory. One hypothesis among the many possibilities. I mean, I had my doubts about Miss Bird from the very beginning.
If that's the case, then why didn't you mention her first?
Now, don't make that face, see? There goes the truth, running the other way. Let's pick up the pace and see if we can't catch up to it.
I don't think you're catching my drift.
Ah, but we are in agreement that the detective isn't the killer, right? If so, then I hope you'll understand when I say that since she is the only one who could have opened your office door,
then that leaves only Miss Bird as our prime suspect. Alright, let's press that. Don't you think it's a bit early to be jumping to conclusions?
Are you saying that there's another way to open the door other than with the master key? Oh, I get it. Perhaps you had a spare made for someone else?
I'll have you know I have never made a spare, so what are you insinuating?
Nothing. Guess I should have known better than to suggest that someone like you would.
On top of which, she knows our good detective, doesn't she? Is there anyone in this district who hasn't at least heard of Detective Gumshoe?
Good point. He's practically a celebrity among us prosecutors. Really? I never knew I was so talked about, sir.
We're holding our collective breath, you know? For when you screw up so badly that you're literally chased off the force.
Wait, what? Is that true, Mr. Edgeworth?
Of course not. That's hogwash.
Phew, don't scare me like that. I almost had a heart attack there.
You remember the 2 times Gumshoe got fired during the trilogy and he went to work for Phoenix immediately? See, making it all the more probable that she was the one who faked the dying message. By dying message, you mean the bloody letters that spell out Gumshoe?
I figured that whoever wrote his name must have wanted to frame him.
And just the act of choosing his name is proof enough that the two knew each other well.
Mr. Edgeworth, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and present some evidence.
I would love to, but first we should listen a bit more and digest what he's saying. And press him for more information. Alright, so I think you're right. The safe thing. Her intent from the messed up shelves to the wiped down safe. Alright, present. Only they know of them. There we go. Only they know of them. We got him. Do you wish to continue insisting that Miss Bird was set on stealing something?
Why not? It's the truth, after all. It was also by your logic that we came to the whole thievery conclusion anyway.
That may be, but you must also be aware of the fact that the safe is a secret safe. The existence of which is only privy to prosecutors.
Ah!
I find it a little hard to believe that a hidden safe was a part of her cunning plan.
But she could have found it by accident while she was turning everything else upside down.
I highly doubt that. I'd say the culprit knew exactly what they were looking for. After all, only the bookshelf and the safe were targeted.
Yeah, even I didn't know about that safe, pal. And that means there's no way Maggie could have known about it either. Then, are you proposing that the killer is a prosecutor?
Interesting conclusion. That's definitely looking more and more probable. What's wrong, prosecutor? Do you have a different suspect in mind now?
Curses! Why? What made you... What's with the angry face all of a sudden? It's all my fault.
What do you mean?
It's Jim. He knew about the existence of the secret safes.
What did you just say?
We were partners, like inseparable conjoined twins. That's why I told him. I filled him in on the secret safes. Then that means... Yeah, I know. I'd only just told him, too. Obviously, it was wrong of me to tell him. I still can't quite believe it. But the thief who broke into your room was probably Jim.
Now he's claiming that the victim was the thief?
And you were simply trying to stop him, weren't you? Miss Maggie Bird.
Excuse me?
I mean, you are a security guard, right? That's your job. But killing is going a bit too far, even in your risky profession. What the? You're still accusing Maggie of the murder? Yes and no. I mean, she had stumbled upon Jim, who'd probably drawn his gun. I get it. It was self-defense, wasn't it?
No, I couldn't. I could never do something like that, not even as a security guard, sir.
Plus, even if she was the thief, he wouldn't have a key to this office. Which is precisely why he had to steal it, wouldn't you say? It was Jim who stole the master key. Ah! Pretty impossible for a supposedly stolen key to be here with us, unless you retrieved it from Jim after you killed him.
Mr. Portsman, are you honestly accusing your own partner of being a thief?
I don't want to admit it, but it's the only way for everything else to make sense.
Has he no honor?
Now then, I think we're done here. The investigation waits for no man. Would you people be so kind as to see yourselves out? You can't kick us out! This is Mr. Edgeworth's office! Ah, but I'm the one who's been assigned to this case. You're all suspects to varying degrees, and therefore ineligible to run this show. Listen, pal, how many times do I have to say this? Maggie can't be the culprit!
Detective Gumshoe, Calm yourself.
But, sir...
We have no choice but to accommodate his request. For now.
Haha, thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. At least one of you understands.
And now then, if you could remove yourselves from my crime scene, I'd be most grateful. Mark my words, Mr. Portsman. We will meet again. If that's a formal request from the legendary prosecutor himself, then I suppose so. Now don't disappoint me, you hear? To be continued. Alright. Turnabout visitor. As a side note, I like Maggie's Blue Badger shirt. Yeah, I did notice that. March 14th, 4:18 a.m. Prosecutor's building, 12th floor hallway.
What is with that prosecutor? I can't believe how rude he was. It was unbelievable.
Please maintain your professionalism, detective.
I'm gonna find some real solid evidence proving Maggie's innocence. You'll see, sir.
But we've been kicked out of the crime scene, sir.
True. So then what now?
Looks like my life's fallen into yet another gigantic ditch. Do not despair, Miss Bird. We can overcome this as well. There are many other places and things we should be looking into anyway.
Really, sir?
For example, this hallway. The linchpin of his argument against Miss Bird is related to the master key. In that case, this hallway is the perfect place to look up more information regarding the mystery surrounding my door. Begin investigation. All right. So we have Maggie there. She's also got feathers, like usual. Interesting. Hey! I know who that is. It looks like you're in quite the pinch, Mr. Edgeworth. To be sure, a murder within the walls of the prosecutor's office is no trifling matter. We must find, apprehend, and punish the killer accordingly post-haste. Sounds like a messy case you've got on your hands. If you ever feel lost and need some advice, my door is always open. How gracious. I will keep your offer in mind. Who is this guy again? Oh no. Poor Payne. Why are you here at 4 a.m., by the way? Anyway. Is everything all right?
Yes, sir. If you must know, I weighed myself this morning, and I'm finally at 154 pounds.
Congratulations, but I was asking about this hallway and this room.
Oh, everything's okay, sir.
A word of advice, stay focused, or you may start to lose even more weight. What do we got here? What is a basketball hoop doing here?
Hey, didn't this used to be just outside next to the building a long time ago?
So when and why was it moved indoors?
I don't remember exactly, but I saw one of the other officers drag it up here recently.
Drag it?
I heard that it wouldn't fit in the elevator, so the poor guy had to bring it himself.
All the way up to the 12th floor? Oh no, that would have been terrible. And then we have a basketball. What is a basketball doing here?
That's Mr. Portsman's prized possession, sir. I hear he also plays soccer, dodgeball, and even tennis.
And not a single one of these sports is suitable to be played in a hallway. This office.
1203. Hey, Maggie, whose room is this again?
It's Mr. Portsman, sir. So he's my new neighbor, I see. I suppose he moved in while I was away overseas. Oh, his room being next to Edgeworth's is an interesting wrinkle. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Crannies. Let's look at the... Yeah, I don't see any signs of forced entry.
And according to the guard, no signs that the lock was picked either, sir.
Meaning that the door really was opened with a key. Did you happen to ask if any prints were lifted from the doorknob?
Apparently, the doorknob's clean as a whistle. Wiped, they think.
Whoever this thief is, they did a good job of not leaving any clues behind. Alright, 1202. 1202. These four numbers on a number plate alone proclaim this to be my office. That is a weird statement. Those numbers alone proclaim this to be his office. Was there a switcheroo? Did somebody break into the wrong office?
Whoops! Hey, these number plates slide right out, sir.
They have to be able to take the plate off when a room becomes vacant, you know? Although, the idea that it can be so easily removed is kind of suspicious. I'm surprised we didn't get any evidence on that. A minimalist yet classy door made of top-quality wood. It's sturdily made, making it near impossible to break it by force.
It's almost majestic, sir.
I wish I could be as stately as this door. Only Gumshoe would praise a door as something greater than himself. Being a detective has its own rewards and a certain virtuous value, I think. Why does the room lose its number when it becomes vacant? That is a good question. Why would it? Why? If you live up to your full potential, that's a poignant trait that anyone can admire.
I see. So you're saying, sir, that me being me is the best thing I can do for everyone?
Right.
That long pause wasn't exactly reassuring, sir.
Oh. I do like Gumshoe and Edgeworth as investigators together. What about down here? I won't rest until I've inspected every single suspicious-looking nook and cranny. Hey, what is this? Huh? It's...
isn't that missing Zero Series file, sir?
No doubt about it. The bloody letters mark it clear as day. There seem to be a few pages missing. Our thief took only what was necessary and left the rest behind.
So what are these Zero files about, sir? I guess they've got something worth stealing in them, huh?
Not particularly, it's just a collection of court case files. However, the cases within these files are not mine.
Huh?
They belong to the high prosecutor that used to occupy my current office. I have my reasons, but let's just say I was charged with keeping them as they were.
Then that means the thief must have also wanted the file for a specific reason, right?
It would seem so. Only the pages related to that case from 10 years ago are missing.
I wonder why anyone would care about such an old case.
A case from 10 years ago? Oh no. A well-crafted, high-quality sofa for visitors. The stitching is excellent.
Talk about a luxury waiting area. These babies are also great for napping, you know?
You would sleep even out here, Detective? In a hallway?
Whenever I do, I always wind up dreaming about giving testimony up on the stand. But it always ends the same way. Me getting trounced by a lawyer. Isn't that awful?
Maybe I should give it a try sometime. To envision myself winning, naturally. What we got? I bet the thief's not under here.
I guess there isn't enough space for anyone to hide under here anyway. I mean, if someone could contort themselves to fit, I'd be really impressed.
Sounds to me like somebody has already tried at least once before. There is a book under the chair. We did find that. Yes. And it was the missing document. So we got that. Do we have any logic yet? Files in disarray. And another handgun. Okay. The culprit rearranged my files twice, once before and once after the murder. And then we have another handgun. Other than the victim's gun that I found, could there be another gun at play? So... it's... possibly... I mean, do these connect? Why did he rearrange it? Let's just see. Let's just see if they connect. I'm just curious. They do not connect. Okay. The pieces don't fit together quite right. Alright, so we need more information. We can talk to Maggie. That's probably what we have to do next. But we could also talk to Gumshoe.
Yes, sir!
Anything of interest? Detective Gumshoe, you look rather intrigued by something. Care to share?
Oh, it's nothing. But I noticed that Mr. Portsman calls his partner Jim. And the detective in that Sunday night drama, All My Cops, is named Jim, too. I bet one of them is a big fan of that show.
You seem to know a little something about it yourself. I take it you watch it too.
Of course. The tight bond of friendship between prosecutor and detective is great, sir. But it's nothing compared to the super strong friendship we have.
Friendship, detective? I think you're mistaking it with pity.
How can you say that, sir? And after all we've been through, too.
Oh, no. I got an achievement called Friendship or Pity. Yikes. Talking to witnesses. About Miss Bird.
No way she's the killer. Please don't tell me you buy into that accusation, sir.
Rest assured, I think she's innocent. However, I need to ask her a few things regarding her security guard position.
Well, if you're only asking, that's okay. Just stand next to her and then press space. Then you two can talk about whatever topic you pick. When you want to ask her about evidence, all you have to do is present it to her with T. After you choose what to show her, press T again, and off you two go. I recommend showing different people different things. You'd be surprised by what they say.
Thank you for the explanation, though I don't recall asking for one.
Oh, just so you know, sir, you can show me evidence in the same way, too.
I do believe it's time to get down to business and ask some questions of Miss Bird.
Ignore it again.
Well, how about we ask him about the stolen file? No, he has nothing to say about that. Okay. The master key? No? Okay. So he has the safe?
I had no idea you had one of these things. I mean, I thought I knew everything there is to know about you, Mr. Edgeworth. I feel like I've caught a glimpse of the hidden side of Miles Edgeworth.
There's a great deal you don't know about me. At least I hope so. All right. Well, let's talk to Maggie. I was wondering if I may speak with you for a bit concerning this case.
I've always been a big fan of the courtroom, but this is like a dream where I'm being cross-examined by the Miles Edgeworth.
I can't let this chance pass by me. I must remember to ask her about the master key. I should jog her memory by showing my notes to her. All right. Hey, Maggie, do you want to see my prosecutor's badge?
That's a prosecutor's badge, isn't it? It proves that you're really a prosecutor.
Interesting. Despite all appearances, she seems to know more than Gumshoe.
With that badge, even I could be a professional prosecutor. Sir, may I please try that on, just for a little bit?
I don't think that would be a very good idea, do you?
I guess not.
On second thought, they're actually on the same level. Wait, if she puts on the prosecutor, does that mean she's now the prosecutor and he's not? All right. Let's show her the master key, too. So when did you discover the master key was missing?
By the time I realized it, I think it was around 1 a.m., sir. And I noticed it was back at around 2:30 a.m. It was just sitting there on the ledge where the security room's reception window is. But I'm sure that between those two times, it was not just gone, but stolen, sir.
Okay, this key went missing from approximately 1 a.m. until 2:30 a.m. Okay. Why is such an important key stored in such an insecure place?
It's not like that, sir. We always keep the key further inside the room, away from the window.
Always, you say? Except for this time, correct?
Well, I admit that was a bit careless, but I had my reasons. I left it out because I was sort of using it at the time. It was after I had used it that I left it sitting out on the ledge.
She used the master key? Yeah, what? Alright, let's talk some more about that, Maggie. The victim. Have you ever met the victim before?
Well, I've seen him a couple of times before when I had to go to Mr. Portsman's office. Mr. Faith was always playing basketball with Mr. Portsman, sir. That sounds like fun! Just once! I'd have loved to play with them.
Sounds fun, but the only person ever taking a shot was Mr. Portsman. All Mr. Faith ever did was pass him the ball, sir.
On second thought, I don't think I'd have fit in all that well with them.
Use the master... What did you mean by you used the master key? Oh, I had to use it to open the door for this prosecutor who had forgotten his key. Her hat. I mean, it's my job as a security guard, right? Ah,
What is it?
that's right. I just remembered. The prosecutor who forgot his key. It was Mr. Portsman, sir.
What? Please tell me more, Miss Bird. Quickly. Oh, forgetful Mr. Portsman.
It was around 12 a.m. Mr. Portsman had forgotten his office key, so he came down to security, sir.
And that's when you loaned the master key to him?
No way.
It's against regulations to loan the master key out to anyone.
I walked with Mr. Portsman to his office and opened the door for him personally, sir.
I see.
And then, what happened after that?
Well, he called for me to come close up his office as he was leaving to go home. That was around 1:30 a.m., I think.
So in summary, for the sake of one forgetful prosecutor, you used the master key twice tonight. All right. This key was used to unlock and lock Portsman's office at 12 a.m. and 1:30 a.m. Interesting.
Talk about suspicious.
I doubt you can say that you've never left your keys at home, Detective. I think this calls for a thorough examination of Mr. Portsman's door. Yes, Maggie Bird. Miss Maggie Bird, correct? I take it that you are an acquaintance of the detective?
She was under my supervision back when she was still on the force, sir. But one day she got caught up in a murder and things started going downhill, so she quit.
Oh, we are referencing cases. Previous cases, oh my.
But I owe a lot to Detective Gumshoe for introducing me to my current employer, or so I thought until a few hours ago. Right before I was about to clock out for the night.
You got caught up in this whirlwind of a case, correct?
Don't worry, my whole life has been nothing but a whirlwind of bad luck and failure. Since I was 6 months old, when I fell from the 9th floor of my apartment building, I've been hit by all sorts of vehicles, gotten sick from all sorts of foods, failed at almost every test I've taken, experienced almost every kind of disaster, and now I even managed to be named a criminal, just when I've become a security guard.
That's a lot to go through in one lifetime.
I know, and just when I thought I had finally found my happiness, I wind up getting you and Detective Gumshoe involved in my bad luck.
You don't need to worry about me, Miss Bird, nor do you need to worry about yourself. I will solve this case and prove your innocence. All I ask in return is for your cooperation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Edgeworth. You can count on me. I'll do all I can to help.
All right, cool. But we need to look at this. All right, suspicious looking nook and cranny. What's this? The door is locked tight.
I bet the old credit card trick wouldn't work here, Mr. Edgeworth.
This is the office of a high prosecutor, Detective. These doors would be pretty ineffective if the average cat burglar could get through them.
So I guess only a great cat burglar could get in. That must be who our culprit is.
Might I advise you to return that conclusion to whatever pawn shop you bought it from? I love it.
It's Mr. Portsman's personal basketball hoop.
I can't believe he put something like this in the hallway of a prosecutor's office.
But, you know, it's actually pretty useful, sir. I haven't gotten lost trying to forget your office since it's been here.
How long have I had the same office, and yet you still managed to get lost? What do we got? What's it? Room 1203. I take it that this is Mr. Portsman's office?
Yeah, you can't mistake it because of that basketball hoop, sir. Oh, and that reminds me, Mr. Portsman had actually wanted room 1202 really badly. But since you were already occupying it, Mr. Edgeworth, we put him next door, sir.
So why was Mr. Portsman so particular about getting room 1202?
I'm not sure, but I bet it's because of something like his birthday is December 2nd?
Yup, that's gotta be it. I can't think of another reason why.
I could think of at least 3. Ugh. Why am I even wasting time thinking about this? They're going really hard here with the door plaques and environment thing. Absolutely. And okay, so remember Edgeworth said that the previous stuff that was, that the documents that were stolen was from a previous prosecutor? Portsman, I think, was trying to get at what was in that safe. So that's why he was insistent on getting 1202. But when he didn't get 1202, he got 1203. And so he was trying to break in, and maybe that's when he stole the master key, when he, quote unquote, forgot his keys. At least I think that's what's going on. A minimalist yet classy door made of top quality wood.
It's kind of majestic, too. Fits in really well with the ambience of the prosecutor's offices. Even Mr. Portsman seems dignified just because he works behind one of these.
Nonsense. A man doesn't become more or less dignified because of where he works.
Well, he still seems more dignified than Mr. Payne.
Mr. Payne, I suppose custodial work can also be dignified. Edgeworth thinks he's the janitor. He doesn't know who he is. That's amazing. That is great. Is that everything? Alright. I already checked this area earlier. Okay, so that's an indication that we've gotten everything we can out of this. So I think we have some logic. Use the master key, and master key was stolen. Seems pretty obvious to me. Yep. Miss Bird, I'm afraid there's a flaw in your story.
What? No way, pal. I mean, sir.
You said that you locked up Mr. Portsman's office at around 1:30 a.m., correct? However, the master key had already been stolen at that time.
Wow. Nothing gets by you, Mr. Edgeworth. You saw that contradiction like a pro. I had totally forgotten all about that, but thanks to you, I remember it now. You're right. It was around that very time that I realized the master key was missing.
And...
well, I'm a security guard, sir. I couldn't just admit to losing the master key, could I? So I pretended to lock up his room, sir.
You pretended?
Yeah, I used my house key and made it look like I was locking up, sir.
That was... okay, that's it. That was the trick. She didn't unlock his office for him. She unlocked Edgeworth's office. All he did was put his basketball hoop and change the plaques. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So in actuality, you never did relock the door then?
Well, I thought that maybe I could go lock it after I found the key. Come to think of it, I guess the door still hasn't been locked properly.
Mr. Portsman's office data jotted down. Okay. Can we try to unlock his door? Let's see. The door is locked tight. Ah, it is locked. Is there what? Oh, deduce. It's locked. Yeah, okay, we can deduce. So, yeah, obvious deduction here is the door is locked. Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? And it is... Miss Bird unlocked the door, and it's still locked. There's a contradiction here between reality and the evidence. If what Miss Bird has said is true, then why is this door locked tight?
You know, you're right.
Miss Bird, are you sure you didn't relock this door?
I am certain of it, sir. And I don't think Mr. Portsman noticed it himself that I hadn't.
Which means what, sir?
It either means that he actually does have the key to his office, or that the door Miss Bird opened wasn't this one at all, but a completely different one.
She opened a different door? But how can you prove that?
There's an easy way to find out. All we need to do is... we need to examine these. The prints on the master key, the prints on the doorknob, or the prints on the number plate. Yes. The prints on the number plate. They will tell us all we need to know. Oh. The fact that the bar's still there is telling me I was wrong. Oh no.
Everything? Really? Like what, sir?
Like, well, for example, such as, well, we know for sure that Detective Gumshoe's dinner will only consist of instant noodles.
Wow, that was amazing, sir. How did you know?
Was that supposed to be a joke to cheer me up, Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, that's it. Now then, we should get back to doing what we need to do, and that is we need to examine these. The doorknob or the master key? Let's examine... Well, the prints on the master key would be interesting. The prints on the doorknob wouldn't... Would that tell us a whole lot? I don't know. Let's do the master key. Ah, we're wrong. If we examine the fingerprints on the master key...
Well, if that's what you want to examine, sir, that was the very first thing we did. I can tell you that we didn't find any prints other than Maggie's.
Ooh. That's so brilliant, Mr. Edgeworth. So what can we deduce from that?
Well...
I'll tell you what I deduced. I think this means that the culprit wiped their prints off.
Yes, that's exactly it. I'm glad you were able to come to the same conclusion. However, the more important matter is...
Alright, so I blew that one big. But let's do the doorknob, yeah. The prints on the doorknob will tell us everything.
Hey, you! Yeah, you, pal! Do us a favor and see what you can lift from this, okay? So, what did you find out?
There's no need for such belligerent nostril flaring, Detective.
Sir, I have found only Mr. Portsman's and Mr. Faith's prints on this doorknob.
So only two people's prints were found on this, huh? That's pretty decisive.
I'm lost, sir.
Well, thinking logically, a certain other person's print should be on this knob as well. Now then, whose print should also be on this doorknob? Well, Maggie's, obviously. Don't you find it odd that the prints of the person who unlocked this door are absent?
You mean...
Yes, the door that Miss Bird opened could not have been this one, but a different one. Got it. What have we here? Okay. Suspicious looking nook and cranny. Ah! I'm seeing a couple different interesting things. This is moved and there's a letter there, but also the basketball hoop. Let's look at that first. Is this basketball property of Mr. Portsman?
Yes, sir. He's always ready for a match. Basketball, soccer, dodgeball, tennis, it doesn't matter what sport it is, he's game. Although, I think it'd be a little hard to play tennis with this ball.
That isn't the point you should be focusing on, Detective.
You're right, sir. Now I know what I should be focusing on. Bad Mr. Portsman. Someone should teach him to clean his toys up after he's done playing.
I think we've reached the end of this conversation. Let's look at this. What's this?
What are you looking at, sir? Oh, hey! How about a game?
That's okay, Detective. I just found the position of this hoop to be a little off.
Hey, you're right, sir. I guess it shifted when someone made a seriously sweet slam dunk.
The positioning of the hoop is definitely unnatural. I'd better take note of this. Alright, there are signs that it has been moved. And what is this?
Looks like a scrap of paper. I'll get it, sir. Now let's see. Oh, there's something written on it.
I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by, just like we talked about on the phone, but it looks like you're out. Guess I'll catch up to you later, buddy. It looks like a note from the victim.
Yeah, and it's for Mr. Portsman.
Interesting. Investigation complete. All right. Poking around in this hallway has actually paid off quite handsomely.
How so, sir?
In a variety of different ways. I think it's time we had a little chat with the real culprit of this case.
You know who the killer is? Wow, Mr. Edgeworth.
As long as my logic is sound, then yes. The mastermind behind this murder is none other than Mr. Portsman.
What? Mr. Portsman? I knew it! That's exactly what my logic senses were telling me too. I suspected it was him from the instant he accused Maggie of being the killer, sir.
That is anything but logical. Lady and gentlemen, prepare yourselves. Come what may, it's time to knock on truth's door. March 14th, 5:12 a.m., High Prosecutor Office. Do you know what happens thematically if you lose? Like in the regular games, the judge has had enough of you and rolls the defendant guilty. I never got a game over, so I'm not sure. Like, he said something about he will lose track. So I wonder if he just like accuses the wrong person and things just fall apart. March 14th, 5:12 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202.
Mr. Portsman, I've finished processing the bloody letters, sir. All right. Let me take a gander at it.
Pass it here.
Okay, looking good. You there, take good care of this.
Whoa!
Well, if it isn't Detective Gumshoe.
End of the line for you, Portsman. We've got you now.
Call off your dog, Mr. Edgeworth. Is this some kind of joke?
It's no joke.
We know, Mr. Jacques Forchman, that you are the guilty party in this case. You must be pretty upset getting chased out of your own room. I'd be mad too. So I guess you can stay. If you promise to stay out of our way.
You intend to hide your crime under the guise of a prosecutor doing his job? I can see right through the unsightly paper-thin mask you wear upon your cowl.
Who would have ever thought it would come to this? Actually, come to think of it, your mentor was Manfred von Karma, right?
Huh?
The legendary prosecutor who never lost a single case for 40 long years? But there was always this incessant chatter about forged evidence with that guy. Really teaches me that I've got to stay on the lookout for false accusations, you know?
Are you done trying to play mind games with me? Because they won't work. The only thing you should be using that mouth of yours for now is explaining yourself. Although that too will only dig your hole deeper. Either way, your game is up.
Well, aren't we full of ourselves, even though you have yet to prove anything?
Mr. Portsman's rebuttal.
I have no idea what sort of harebrained idea you have in mind, but there's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Besides, how many asks do you propose I unlocked your door and got in here? Look, I feel bad doing this to you, but I've got work to do, so we're done here.
Sorry, but we're not finished. Yet.
Boy, you're stubborn. I suppose you're basing your accusations on something?
I'll show you what I'm basing my accusations on. With evidence. Mr. Portsman's rebuttal.
I have no idea what sort of...
Okay. My accusation is a harebrained idea, is it?
You tell me. I'd say it is, after all.
There's a mountain of evidence that points away from me being the culprit. Oh, and what, pray tell, kind of evidence are we talking about here?
Jim was my partner, so you can't say I had a motive for killing him.
And that's it? That's not even anthill, let alone a mountain.
But it's more than enough, wouldn't you agree?
Might I recommend that you review what the word evidence means?
It doesn't change the fact that the evidence doesn't point to me as the killer.
Besides, how may I ask, do you propose I unlocked your door and got in here? Unfortunately, I believe I have already shown how earlier.
Your speculations mean nothing, as I still insist that I could not gain access to your room.
What should I do now? Should I raise an objection? Yes. You claim to have had no way to open my door. However, is that really the honest truth?
All right, I'll humor you. Go ahead, shoot.
Very well, then. I propose that you used this to open my door. The master key. I believe you were able to open my office door with the master key, no less.
Wait, hold on for a sec. I never laid a finger on that key, as you already know.
Precisely. You were able to open my door without lifting a single finger. Well, maybe you did, but only to direct. That's right. You used your finger to direct this person to open my door with the key. Maggie Bird. You had asked Miss Bird to open your own office door for you, yes?
Yeah, I kind of forgot my key at home. Happens a bit too often for my taste, you know?
But the room you had Miss Bird open at that time was not your own, was it?
What? You have quite the imagination. But why don't we ask the girl herself whose door she opened, shall we? I'm certain that it was Mr. Portsman's door, sir. I checked the number plate to make sure I was opening the right door, sir. See, Miss Bird backs up my story.
Yet, what if you had misled her to fool her into thinking what you wanted?
Ha! And how do you suppose I did that?
By switching the number plates on our doors, for example.
That's right. They do slide out pretty easily.
Furthermore, you then used one other thing to give a very strong impression. That the door she was opening was yours, and not, in fact, mine. What was it that Mr. Portsman used to make Miss Bird think that it was her room? Or his room? It was the basketball hoop.
What? The basketball hoop, sir?
It's quite the peculiar fixture in any hallway, let alone a hallway in this building, which is why it left an unusually strong impression on you. It's an object perfectly suited to sit just outside the office of a peculiar prosecutor.
Whoa. That's very true, sir. Because there was a basketball hoop sitting there, I thought the door I was opening had to be Mr. Portsman's.
There are signs that the hoop has been moved. To sit it in front of my office, to be sure.
I see. So that's how you throw suspicion on people. Thanks for the tip. But I think your conjecture is a little off the racetrack.
Conjecture's rebuttal.
Now you're just spouting nonsense.
I had the girl open my office door.
After that, I was in my room the entire time. You don't have a single reason to suspect me.
Okay. So he intends to claim his innocence to the end, does he?
I'm as pure and innocent as my jacket. And Miss Bird is as dirty and guilty as the jacket she wears. My jacket's not dirty, I'll have you know. I just washed it yesterday.
Please calm down, for I intend to show who is the one truly covered in slime here. Oh, got him. Conjecture's rebuttal.
And are just spouting nonsense.
Nonsense, you say?
Yes, because I'm telling the truth here.
I had the girl open my office door. Using the master key, of course.
Sure, you have a problem with that? That is what the master key's for, right?
Perhaps we should place it in an elaborate labyrinth of some sort for people like you. I was in my room the entire time. Wait, was that a Legend of Zelda reference? The master key? Or no, that's the boss key. that's pretty funny. And what were you doing in your office?
I was doing my usual training regimen.
Training regimen? Were you going through your law books from start to finish?
Mainly batting practice and some weights. Oh, and I jog when I get the chance.
Wow, you must be the buffest prosecutor we have.
With the weakest legal muscles, it would seem.
I was doing my usual workout, so...
You don't have a single reason to suspect me. I think I'd given you quite a few reasons, actually.
But none of those would stand up on their own.
Then what about all the evidence? I like that they're shouting objection at each other when they're just having an argument.
It's all circumstantial. No judge would convict on such flimsy evidence.
He seems to be trembling a little. One more little push. All I have to do is find the flaw in his testimony. You're just spouting nonsense. I had the girl open my office door. After that, I was in my room the entire time. No. Because of the note. You were not. That was a lie. I think our judge might convict on evidence this flimsy. Yeah, I think you're right.
What are you talking about? How is that a lie?
This is a note that the victim left for you, Mr. Portsman.
A note?
It was left under your door, or did you not notice? And right here it says, "But you're out." You were not in your room when the victim came to call on you. So then, where were you, and what were you doing? Shall I explain it in full detail for you? You were busy snooping around in my room, the very room you had Miss Bird open for you.
That's just nonsense. You have no evidence that I made the girl open your door for me. Oh, but I do. I have very decisive evidence. No way. This is proof positive that you had Miss Bird open the door for you. Is it, Hair prints were not found on the doorknob. Yeah. I had your door dusted for prints. My door? What for? Come on, I bet you didn't find anything. You sure are good at wasting time. You're right, I didn't find anything. And definitely not Miss Bird's fingerprints. Her prints? Ooh, what do they have to do with anything? Let's put it this way. If she really was the one who opened your door, then her prints should naturally be on the doorknob she touched. Ugh. Further, all of the prints on my office door's knob have been wiped clean. I can only assume it's because Miss Bird's fingerprints were on it. Don't you think it's time you gave up your charade? We know you stole into my office with the intent of stealing something from me, and Detective Faith found you out. Possibly because he heard sounds coming from a room whose occupant was on leave. Mr. Portsman, you killed Mr. Faith to silence him. And I had the misfortune to return when I did. You had to threaten me as you escaped. As I said when you had the gun to my back, no one gets away with committing murder in my office. Huh?
And just what's so funny, pal?
Well, that look of stiff seriousness on the face of this office's finest prosecutor, as he makes a huge mistake in accusing me, is simply too much to bear. There's just nothing else like it in the world. What? Mr. Edgeworth just explained it all, and he even backed it up. You're the murderer. Stop trying to be slippery and just admit to the crime already. And as I said earlier, it's also circumstantial, so full of conjecture. You say you checked my doorknob for prints? Well, I can readily confess that I had wiped that knob down well. Eh? Yeah, I'm a little obsessive-compulsive, you see. I didn't want to touch a doorknob that you had touched, which is why I wiped the knob down as soon as I could after you opened the door. After that, it makes perfect sense that only Jim's and my own prints would be on there.
You made that up just now, didn't you?
Furthermore, as for the note Jim left for me, do you know exactly when that was? For all we know, he could have left it there before I arrived at the office. Like early evening, for example. Are you saying you failed to notice a note in your doorway? Hey, even geniuses fail at times. I was probably too preoccupied by work-related matters, although that's no excuse. Now that's just a flat-out lie. There's no way you didn't notice a note that size. But you can't prove that, can you? Say something, Mr. Edgeworth. Back me up here, sir.
Ugh. Portsman makes a good point. I can't prove that he didn't simply overlook it.
Besides, I have an airtight alibi. Airtight, you say? I only just realized I had one as we were talking. I guess it would have been better for all of us if I had told you sooner. Oh, what's this gonna be? Portsman's alibi. Let's see, if memory serves, you came back to this office at around 2 a.m., correct? And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs. Ask around. I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story. It's the perfect alibi. Do you really think that it's that perfect? And like I said, I don't care. Ask around all you like. You'll see for yourself. Detective Gumshoe?
Yes, sir. I'll go check out his alibi, sir. We'll be right back. Mr. Edgeworth, sir, I think we're in trouble. It's just like Mr. Portsman said. The guys down in criminal affairs said they saw him at around 2 a.m.
You see? All of the evidence points to him being the culprit. So there must be a contradictory point in his alibi somewhere. Alright. Portsman's alibi. Here we go. Let's see. Memory serves, you came back to this office at around 2 a.m., correct? You are correct. It was around 2 a.m. Are you sure? It's really important to me that you're spot on with the time. I remember checking my watch then, and make no mistake, it was 2. Oh, giving testimony like a pro. Okay, so you came back to your office at 2. And it was then that you had that unfortunate confrontation at gunpoint with the culprit.
It is as you say, however.
Yes, however, you are the only one who claims to have bumped into the culprit. So tell me, did you see the person's face? Was it me who you saw?
It was pitch black, so I couldn't actually see.
Oh, come now, I'm sure you saw something. Try a little harder, why don't you?
I'm beginning to feel like I'm the one being interrogated here.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter if you remember or not. It only matters that you ran into the culprit. But at exactly that time, I was down in criminal affairs.
So you paid the criminal affairs department a visit?
Yup, right after I left the prosecutor's building, I headed straight for the precinct. Ask around, I'm sure the other detectives will corroborate my story.
Well, we did go and ask around to confirm your testimony.
And it was just as you said, as I said, right?
Yes, sir. A number of detectives said that they saw you at around that time.
See, I have the perfect alibi. That's the ace I had up my sleeve.
Ugh. Impossible. He actually does have the perfect alibi.
But what's wrong? Why the sudden sullen look on your face?
Can't you say anything back, Mr. Edgeworth?
Unless that second person was a totally different person breaking into Edgeworth's office at the same time. I think we've reached the end of the line, and it's time to get off this crazy train. You there.
Sir.
Please escort the young lady out, but remember, be gentle.
Maggie!
Detective Gumshoe!
Is there nothing I can do? Oh, there must be a way to turn this situation around. If I only had a clue. Did I miss something that could help me cast doubt on his alibi? The intruder I met could not have been Portsman, then who could it have been? Oh, we're in... Okay. I need to calmly think this through one more time, and with logic.
There was another handgun. That, in and of itself, is a big deal. I think that's it. 2 shots, but only 1 gun fired. Yeah, or 1 bullet.
There were 2 bullets left at the scene of the crime. One that robbed Mr. Faith of his life, and one that nearly robbed me of my jacket. However, the murder weapon only shows signs of being fired once, meaning that it is entirely possible that a second gun was used in my office tonight. But seeing as how the killer had to steal Mr. Faith's gun, I doubt the killer had another gun up their sleeve. Therefore, the second gun could have been the property of an entirely different person, which could mean that there was another person who paid a visit to my office tonight.
That's why his office was ransacked twice. He had 2 people break in on the same night to steal stuff.
Supposing there was yet another visitor tonight, that would also resolve the issue of why my shelves were upended twice. We know that the shelves were disturbed once before and once after the murder, so it shouldn't be much of a stretch to think that it was the work of 2 different people. Once by the person who stole the victim's gun and then killed him with it, and once again after the murder by our second culprit, who was the owner of the second gun. If we suppose that the second culprit's gun was the one that was pointed at my back... Mr. Portsman, it seems that I need to amend my assumptions regarding this case.
Great. So you've finally come to your senses. Mr. Edgeworth!
Sir, what are you saying?
This has been a big misunderstanding on my part from the start. I had assumed that the person I ran into was the killer, but that may not be the case.
What do you mean?
The person I ran into was just your average thief.
A thief? But, sir, doesn't that cause some sort of contradiction in the facts?
Not at all. It simply means that the killer was someone else. And it means that in actuality, 2 culprits stole into my office tonight.
What do you mean, two?
It explains both why my shelves were disturbed twice and how they were 2 guns. Mr. Portsman tricked Miss Bird and gained entry into my office. Now you're just leading the argument. You still don't have any actual proof, you know. If you could please go along with my hypothetical scenario for now, Mr. Portsman. In the end, if you really are innocent, you should have nothing to worry about. Now then, returning to my scenario, Mr. Portsman was out to steal something from me, which is why he checked my secret safe and ransacked my shelves. This is the first time.
So then this would be when the files were put back in the wrong order, right?
Correct, and then just when he was about to look somewhere else, who should walk in but his own partner, Mr. Faith?
But why did Mr. Faith come into your room, sir?
He probably had business with Mr. Portsman, which is why he was in the area. And that's when he noticed sounds coming from my office, would be my guess.
Oh, because you were supposed to be away, right? And he must have thought it was odd, so he came into this office to check it out.
Correct, and as a detective, that was the right thing to do. But when he came in, he found his own partner standing there. Because it was Mr. Portsman, Mr. Faith probably let his guard down. But Mr. Portsman was not so merciful as to let him leave alive. He waited for a chance and stole Mr. Faith's gun from him, and then he killed him. He silenced Mr. Faith for catching him in the act of stealing. This was the moment in which the first shot was fired, the one that landed in my files. Following that, Mr. Portsman wiped the gun down and left it behind as he made his exit. He could afford to do that because he had also left the fake dying message behind.
You're such a complicated troublemaker, you know that?
Well, if things were as simple as that, then all would be solved. However, there was yet another visitor to my room, and this is where it gets complicated.
There was another visitor, sir?
Yes, and this other person's objective was also to steal something from me. Now then, even after Mr. Portsman left, the door to my office remained unlocked. However, this new visitor had no way of knowing that, and so they stole the master key from the security guard's room, and then entered my room and searched through my shelves. This was the second time they were disturbed, and it seems the thief found their prize.
They stole the stolen zero file, right, sir?
Correct. Only just as the thief was about to leave with the file, I appeared. The thief then threatened me with their own gun and made their escape. The second bullet was fired during that brief encounter.
So the shelves getting messed up twice and the 2 bullets, it was all because 2 different people were doing those things at 2 different times.
Precisely. So now do you see, Mr. Portsman? The person I met was just a thief and was not, in fact, Mr. Faith's killer. Your alibi for the time frame in which I ran into the other person is now irrelevant, because we now know that the murder took place during the first culprit's visit.
What's so funny, pal?
Absolutely splendid. Your scenario explains everything.
Of course it does. It's Mr. Edgeworth, after all.
But you know, it still doesn't change the fact that it's all circumstantial. Supposing if, and that's a big if, your theory is right, it would indeed render my alibi, which has withstood scrutiny, mind you, irrelevant. But there is still one defining point of your argument for which you have no evidence. Your supposition that I was the first visitor.
Mr. Edgeworth, you can't let him get away with that, sir.
But he has a point. I have absolutely no proof at this point. Don't say that, sir.
I don't believe this. Don't worry, Maggie. I'll do something if I must.
You know something? I find your attitude to be somewhat peculiar, Mr. Edgeworth. If the person you met really was just a plain old thief, then why is that person not your main suspect? That is, if your theory is correct. It is weird this person would have just ignored a dead body. Portsman's alibi part 2. That thief you ran into should be your real suspect, wouldn't you say? We should be out there looking for that thief right now. They might still be nearby. I hate to repeat myself, but as I've already said, I was training in my room. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence to me, I was down at criminal affairs. So I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left. Ooh, okay. So you think we should be out there looking for the thief? Of course, now isn't the time to be having these dead-end discussions. I don't think it's at all dead-ended. I find your alibi to be fascinating. Let's continue where we left off, shall we? I know he's lying. I know he was here, at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. Alright, Portsman's alibi. The thief you ran into should be your real suspect. Actually, no, I wouldn't. Ooh, why not? That's elementary. The dying message, of course. Mr. Faith's killer very clearly left those letters on the spines of those files. It was after they were on there that the thief stole one of them.
You mean the 0 files, right?
And that's how we also know the letters themselves were a setup and not from Mr. Faith. If the thief was the killer, do you think they would try to undermine themselves? Maybe the killer just didn't think of that either. Yes, that must be it. Maybe, just maybe, we should be out there looking for that thief right now. Let's see. Once escaped, I highly doubt a thief would linger nearby. Well, you never know. Maybe they didn't get what they were really after. Oh, you talk like you know quite a bit about this thief. It's nothing like that. I have no idea about anything, after all. I hate to repeat myself, but as I've already said, I was training in my room. But according to Mr. Faith's note... Hold on, I thought we already cleared that up. Didn't we say that Jim left that note for me in the early evening? If you have proof that he left it at a different time, say just before he was murdered. I don't have any, no. You see? So I insist again that I was in my office the entire time. And when Jim came to deliver some evidence, I was down at criminal affairs. Why didn't you go there with Mr. Faith? Ah, that's because he said he was tired and was going to take a quick nap. You know, those sofas in the hallway? He likes to sleep on those. It's one of his habits. And what of the evidence he brought? Hey, Gumshoe does that too. They were things related to yesterday's case. Just 2 items, a gun and a pendant. Interesting. This piece of testimony seems too crucial to let slip through the cracks. He brought me 2 items, a gun and a pendant that are related to yesterday's case. Okay. A gun and a pendant? Yes, this gun, which was the murder weapon, and this pendant, which belonged to the victim. And why were you taking them to criminal affairs? There was something in a past case file I wanted to compare these two to. But all this has nothing to do with this case right now. Anyway, I believe you'll find the long paper trail I left to be to your satisfaction. Huh. This is all matching up with what Detective Gumshoe found out. So I can't be expected to know what happened around here after I left, okay? I can't expect you to know, can I? Nope, but I guess you can expect me to take a guess based on logical deductions. Oh, then let's see you deduce. Jim waited for me to leave and then stole the master key, for the purpose of sneaking into your room, of course. And that's when Miss Bird caught him red-handed, and the murder occurred. It's all exactly as I had laid out earlier. I know he's lying. I know he was here at the scene of the crime. I just have to find a way to prove it. Alright. Well, that new thing we unearthed, right? He brought me 2 items, a gun and a pendant. Wait a minute. What did the note say? I brought the 3 pieces of evidence by, just like we talked about. Oh, there we go. We got him. Only 2 pieces. I believe the proper phrase here is, you fail. Excuse me? You fail as a prosecutor, Mr. Portsman, as you intend to keep evidence hidden from me. What are you talking about? I haven't hidden anything from you.
Well, here's a piece I think you should read carefully.
Oh, it says that Mr. Faith was bringing 3 pieces.
Yes, and this is the victim's real dying message to you, Mr. Portsman.
Hey, I can't believe to get tripped up by simple arithmetic.
Where is the missing piece of evidence?
It's...
You have it, don't you? Only the guilty would make such a face. Detective Gumshoe?
You don't have to say it, sir. I'll pet the guy down from head to toe.
What? Don't come closer. I'm warning you.
This is all part of the investigation, pal. So don't even think about stopping me.
No!
Hey, what's this? He had this on him, sir.
Despite what you said, it would appear that you do have something to hide.
But why would he hide something like that?
There's only one reason why anyone would hide evidence of this caliber. Because it would unequivocally point to the person himself as the real killer. Let's examine this videotape in a little more detail. For the section of the tape that will drive the last nail into his coffin. The KG8 incident, huh? The KG8 incident?
That's a police case number, sir. Does that mean this video is evidence from that case?
Interesting. However, what's recorded on this isn't what's important right now. Let's give the casing a thorough once-over. Oh. What's that? Ketchup?
Oh, that's blood, isn't it?
Yes, and I believe this is what the good prosecutor was trying to hide from us. This blood is still fresh.
You mean this might be Detective Faith's blood?
No, you've got it all wrong.
No amount of denial can save you. We have but to run a blood test to find the truth. You told us that you had received evidence from the victim earlier. Now you will tell us when and how did the victim's blood find its way onto this video.
Yeah, it's totally suspicious.
Was it at the moment of his death? Did Detective Faith have this videotape on his personage when you killed him?
You know very well there's no way to prove that.
Not even if we were to examine this tape for fingerprints?
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess, I'd say that the only ones on here would belong to the murderous you and Mr. Faith.
No, impossible.
He swallowed his medal. Oh. Yikes. March 14th, 5:47 a.m. High Prosecutor's Office, room 1202. Man, it's still dark out. You'd think the sun would be coming up.
Mr. Portsman has been placed under arrest for the murder of Detective Buddy Faith, sir.
Very good.
And the results we got back from the lab techs on the tape turned out to be a real solid, sir. The blood work came back and it was definitely Mr. Faith's blood on there. And as a bonus, they were also able to lift a few of Mr. Faith's fingerprints as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edgeworth. I still can't believe I got to see your cool deduction skills outside the courtroom. I'm impressed beyond words, sir.
It was nothing. I'm just sorry you got caught up in a murder in my office. Please accept my apologies.
Oh, it was nothing, really, compared to what I've been through, I mean. I consider myself lucky that it was only a burglary and a murder this time, sir. If it had been a holdup or a hostage situation, I'd have thrown my hands up in the air. I think I'm finally rising up from a goddess of misfortune to just an unlucky person.
Something tells me we should have hired a different person for security detail.
You know something, sir? That Mr. Portsman really was one corrupt prosecutor.
And why would you say he was corrupt?
Well, I heard there were a number of suspicious things related to his court cases. There's even rumors about how some of the evidence he uses is forged, sir.
Forged evidence, huh?
And they say he even decided not to prosecute a few cases for some really vague reasons.
Oh, that guy was a complete disgrace to the entire profession.
We never did get around to asking what his reason was for breaking into my office.
Yeah, wherever we got near that topic, he just clammed up.
Although we can be pretty certain that it was to steal something.
This is just between you and me, sir, but there's a rumor that some sort of huge organization is involved behind the scenes.
Oh, well, well.
With Mr. Portsman not willing to divulge anything, it certainly lends credence to that rumor. It would seem that we haven't heard the last of this.
Huh? Then Mr. Portsman isn't the bad guy?
I didn't say that, but rather that there are still many more mysteries for us to solve. For example, we still haven't figured out the significance to this piece of evidence. Is it the stolen file?
Take that!
The person who stole this file, the other villain of the night.
Yeah, I wonder who it was.
And what happened to the stolen pages? I wonder, who in the world was it that held me up at gunpoint?
Mr. Edgeworth, sir.
Yes? I came across this while I was processing your office earlier, sir. This card.
What is it, sir? Is that a bird or something on there?
It's not just any bird. It is the mark of the raven, a three-legged raven. Even you should know what this is, Detective.
Oh, it's about that thing, isn't it? That great thief everyone's talking about?
Yes, it is the mark of the great thief, Yatagarasu. It's Maggie Bird, yeah. The three-legged Maggie Bird. Under the mark of a legendary bird, the Yatagarasu is noble to the end, a modern Robin Hood. Labeled mysterious and phantom-like, the Yatagarasu appears and vanishes at will. Oh no, not another phantom. Though we don't know much about this thief's ultimate goal, we do know the targets. The Yatagarasu likes to find and make public evidence of corrupt dealings of all sorts. The theft is always performed in silence and always with perfection. Once a target is chosen, no dramatic calling card or announcement is sent forth. Instead, the chosen corporation is infiltrated without even the target noticing. Some days later, the evidence that was found is sent out to the mass media, along with this single card. Although it has been a while since the Yatagarasu's last appearance.
Hey, Mr. Edgeworth, look! Something's written on the back.
What? Let me see.
It's the location of where the thief put the stolen files.
So the person who stole the contents of the file was the Yatagarasu. Is the Yatagarasu also an alderman and a professional wrestler? Yes. Yeah, I might very well might be. I think we're gonna have. I hope we don't have to go back to what was it, Ninetales Vale? But this game was made a couple years before that one, so probably not. Yatagarasu organization. Quite a few keywords are popping up in this mystery. The murder in my office. The return of the great thief, Yatagarasu. Looking back, I can't say I didn't see these events coming, for they were heralded by the incidents that began to occur 2 days ago. The end. Yeah, that's right. We're doing this out of order, just like Dual Destinies. Sorry. The next case is going to be a couple days before this case. But this is the only case that does that, if I remember right. Well, kinda. All right. Well, we're done. Turnabout Visitor is done, and next time we're going to do Turnabout Airlines. So we get to see what happened on Edgeworth's trip back to quote-unquote California. Anyway, thanks for coming for the first entry of the Investigations collection. We will do this again next week. See you then.